Congressman Hunt, welcome to the program here. This new poll from the University of Houston and Texas Southern shows you 10 points behind John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. 5 months away from the primary, plenty of time for things to change. But what does your internal polling show?
Well, interestingly enough, that same poll had me at roughly 22%, which, by the way, that was before I even entered the race. So as a congressman from the great state of Texas, right here in Congressional District 38 here in Houston, to have that kind of support already going into the race really says a lot, especially when you're running against a 24-year incumbent in the current Attorney General of Texas. I also want to point out, though, in that same poll, they still had me performing better than Ken and John in a head-to-head against the Democrats. They had me at +5, they had John at +3, and they had Ken at +1. So the fact that I'm already outperforming these incumbents statewide before I even got into the race really means that there is clearly an appetite for a candidate like myself.
You'd have to win the primary first, but, you know, with two big name Republicans already in here, where do you see a path to victory as a third candidate in this race?
Well, again, under no circumstances should someone like me be at 21% already if John Cornyn had done his job. And the bottom line is this. People here in Texas are looking for an alternative. They're looking for a young combat veteran, somebody who loves this country, somebody who wants to put Texas first. I was the first person in the country to endorse President Trump. And people are really sick of using the United States Senate as a retirement community. It is time for the next generation of freedom fighters to step up and enter the fray. And the fact of the matter is this, there's still 20+% of the electorate in the primary that's undecided. Let's put that in perspective. You have a 24-year incumbent. You have Ken Paxton, the current Attorney General, and you have 23% of the primary that's undecided, and I'm garnering 20% before I even entered the race. This is a ripe environment for a third candidate to enter this race, shake things up, and there certainly is room for a candidate like myself.
And for the Republican primary voter, let's kind of lay things out here. Ken Paxton says he's closest to the president. John Cornyn brags about voting with the president 99% of the time. Are you more MAGA than those two?
I would say absolutely. I mean, keep in mind, I was a top surrogate for the president over the course of the past few years leading up into that last presidential election. I traveled to Iowa on his behalf 11 times. I traveled with the president to Chicago and to Nevada and to California and to Pennsylvania. I attended the Army-Navy game with the president as well, which is one of the greatest honors of my entire life. And as I said earlier, I was the first person in the entire country to endorse him during this last run. I believed from day one, before it was popular, that President Trump was the right man for the job, and I stuck by him every single time, every step along the way. I also want to let you know that President Trump endorsed me in my last 3 races, and I'll never forget that. He endorsed me when I was a budding politician trying to figure out my way, and he already staked his claim that Wesley Hunt has a bright future. So the idea of me having the opportunity to reciprocate that when there were very few people standing with him at that time just shows that I've always believed in President Trump, and I will continue to believe in President Trump. And keep in mind that John Cornyn did not endorse President Trump until after he got shot. I also want people to know that John Cornyn has a Liberty score of 54%. So the idea that he is pro-Trump or votes with President Trump 99% of the time, as he claims, is a farce. And that's the reason why he is performing in the high 20s and low 30s as a 24-year incumbent.
An endorsement will go a long way in this race from the president. Do you expect he will endorse in the race? And have you asked him for an endorsement?
So far, President Trump has chosen to stay out of this race, and it is my job to earn his support. But most importantly, it's my job to earn the support and earn the vote of the primary voter. And if we are able to accomplish that, hopefully the president's support would come later, but it's not about that. President Trump makes up his own mind, and he will decide on whether or not he wants to put his finger on the scale in this race, should he see fit to do so. But I'm here to tell you, I'm here to work every single day tirelessly to have a young freedom fighter that puts America first, puts Texas first, and to make sure that we have the right candidate for the job, the person that can win the primary election and also the general election without costing us a ton of money and a lot of resources. John Cornyn has already spent $25 million on this race. Let's not light another 25 on fire.
Let's talk issues for a moment. Do you differ from Cornyn or Paxton on any specific policies?
When I'm a senator, my first order of business is going to be to repeal the anti-gun legislation that John Cornyn co-authored, not sponsored, co-authored with Colin Allred and was praised for it by Joe Biden in the Rose Garden. Look, this is Texas. You don't mess with our Second Amendment. As a combat veteran, as a gun owner, there is a slippery slope whenever you start infringing on those Second Amendment rights, and the Constitution clearly states that these rights shall not be infringed. So again, we differ mightily in that regard, and that's also the reason why he's lost a lot of faith with the primary voter. I also want people to know this. Again, I supported President Trump on day one. Yeah. President Trump won the great state of Texas by almost 15 points. Texas is MAGA country. At the end of the day, John Cornyn did not support President Trump when he needed him the most. And again, this is what the primary voter is seeing. This is what the primary voter has experienced. They want somebody that's not going to infringe on their Second Amendment rights. They want somebody that's going to secure our border actively, and they want somebody that's going to support the president, not 99% of the time, 100% of the time.
Couple last questions here. With three people in this race, Congressman, it's highly likely this could go into a runoff election after the primary. You've been talking a lot about Cornyn here. Do you think you're going to be stealing more votes from Cornyn or Paxton?
Quite frankly, I think there is a path to take votes from both of them. But again, this is about hard work. This is about grit and determination. This is something that I learned when I was a cadet back at West Point, my 8 years active duty as an Apache pilot, flying 55 combat air missions in Baghdad. I don't care how rough the sea is, just bring in the ship. And we are going to fight till the end to get that victory. If it goes into the primary and it goes into the runoff, this is why this is a young man's game. And I am here for that battle, and I am here for that fight. And a lot of people ask me this continuously. In order to do this, you have to give up your congressional seat. And I have one heck of a congressional seat. But this is not about being comfortable. This is about giving the Texans the best option to have the best candidate moving forward. And I believe in term limits. And this is an opportunity for the people of Texas to term limit John Cornyn.
Well, would you agree to serve 1, 2, 3 terms if you get elected?
Of course I would. I have actually already signed a term limit pledge of 12 years. So this is something that I'm very interested in. Unfortunately, nobody's willing to take that up because there are a lot of people of the next generation that quite frankly don't want to fire themselves. But at the end of the day, my generation is a generation that believes in getting in, doing a great job, working as hard as you can, and then moving on, stepping aside, and letting the next generation come in and do the work. President Trump has surrounded himself around 40-year-olds, to be honest with you. Our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is in his mid-40s. Our Vice President is 41 years old. Our Secretary of State is in his early 50s. Quite frankly, these are only guys that can probably keep up with President Trump because he's clearly an anomaly. But he is looking for some freedom fighters for the future, and I certainly fit that mold.
Congressman, thanks for the time. Good luck to you.
God bless you. Thank you for having me.